Hello class, welcome to this chapter 8 handout 1 video. Hopefully you had a chance to work through the handout and you just here to check your answers, or maybe you just want to work through one together. So we have two handouts on this where we're going to go through about one kind of problem each. I did realize as I was working through this handout 1 that very last question does have a bit of information missing. Okay, so if you try to do it, don't feel bad if you couldn't done the last question on this page, because it can answer some of the questions without all the information that was given. Okay, but we'll get through it anyway. All right, so here we have. Did I share my screen with you? I don't know if I did or not. There we go. So I got handout 1 up on your screen now. So we got fresh foods. Okay, so they're trying to determine, do we want to produce 5,000 units? That's main food ingredients, or purchase from an outside supplier. Cost information on production includes the following. Okay, so question number 1 right here. What are the alternatives for fresh foods? Well, here we have a make or buy decision. We're identifying all our alternatives going through our decision-making process. So let's list the relevant cost of internal and external purchase. So let me move this up just a little bit. We're going to make two categories here. We're going to have make and we're going to have buy. We're going to kind of do 2 and 3 here in the same order. So we're going to list the relevant costs, okay? And then we're going to list the costs out beside them. All right, so if we are going to make this product, let's look at our direct materials. It is going to cost us $25,000. Okay, get this from right there. The $5 per unit times the $10, okay? And I'm gonna put parentheses here, 5, and that's just the unit cost. Buy nothing. For direct labor, it's going to cost us $15,000 if we make it, or $3 per unit if we buy nothing. Next, we have our variable manufacturing overhead. That is definitely relevant to our decision making. Okay. Then we have our variable marketing overhead. Again, since it's variable, depends on production of this, it's definitely relevant to our decision making. And we don't have any of those costs if we were to buy the product, right? And then finally, the fixed plant overhead, that is going to be an irrelevant decision. We could put it on here if we wanted, but we'd have to put it on both sides. We'd have to put 30,000 under make and 30,000 under buy, because that fixed overhead is not going away no matter what we do. So we can just leave it off. It's irrelevant. And then we have the purchase price if we were to purchase them. Wouldn't have any cost here. And over here, we'd have $60,000. Okay, that would be that $12 each at 5,000 units. Remember, we're multiplying everything by 5,000. Okay. If we added all these up, you'd see it would be cheaper that we make them instead of buy them, because it's only going to cost us $57,500 or $11.50 per unit to make, compared to the $60,000 if we were to buy them. Okay, so our decision on this first part here would be we wanted to make. Now, last part here, number 4. Now assume 20% of the fixed overhead can be avoided if the ingredient is purchased internally. Okay, so everything else is going to be the same, only we're going to have some fixed overhead. Okay, and that fixed overhead is going to be $6,000. Okay, 20%. So I took the 30,000 times 20%. Okay, and that's where that 6,000 came from, because that fixed plant overhead, we said we could avoid 20% of it. Okay, so now that 20%, that $6,000, it becomes relevant in our decision making. Okay, and when we factor that in, now the total cost to make is 63,500. Okay, whereas the total cost to buy stays at 60,000. So if we can avoid some of that fixed overhead, it would make a better option for us to buy instead of make. It just depends on the information given. All right. So that is number one. Switch our page here. And we got Harrison Ford Company, okay? Offer to purchase something that we're selling at a price of $5 each. So, and it says he's geographically away, not going to affect good sales. That's good. We normally produce 75,000 units, but we're only going to produce 60. So we have the capability of producing 15,000 units. He only wants 10. So that's good. We are in our relevant range. The normal sales price is $12. He only wants to pay $5. I don't know if we should do this or not. Okay. And then we get some unit costs, direct materials, direct labor, variable overhead, fixed overhead. And then the star here, fixed overhead will not be affected whether or not the special order is accepted. Okay, so that is telling us that fixed overhead is irrelevant. Okay. So here's what we want to do. We want to say, we got two choices here. We can reject this offer or we can accept. We're going to have some relevant costs and benefits. We're going to have revenues, right? Because if we accept the offer, we're going to make some money here. Okay. And since everything is given to us on a per unit level, I'm just going to do it on a per unit level. If we accept it, we would have a $5 per unit revenue. Reject it, $0. Direct materials, reject, and there's no cost there. $1.75. Whoops, direct labor, again, no cost here. $2.50 here. And then variable overhead, again, no cost here. $1.50 here. Remember, the fixed overhead is irrelevant. So basically, we have no change if we reject this offer. If we were to accept the offer, though, we would be losing 75 cents per unit. Okay, so how much will operating income increase if the order is accepted? 75-cent loss per unit times 5,000 units. It's a $7,500 loss. So we would not want to accept that special offer. What we might do is we might turn around and say, hey, buddy, I get it. You know, you're a new customer, you're buying an awful lot. I normally sell them for 12, you're wanting them for 5. Can't really do that. How about just this one time, you know, I'll do it for 6. Okay, you're still getting 50% off. If you were to do it for $6, right, that would change your decision, because now you would be making a quarter on each one instead of losing 75 cents, and you have the capacity. Okay. And then your income would increase 5,000 times 0.25, which I should have thought about this for a row. Top of my head is what? Is it 250? 1250. 1250. Yeah, so if you said, hey, let's make it $6, then your profits increase by $12.50, and he's still saving over half of the normal selling price, and maybe you made a new long-term customer in the process. Yeah, so the last one here, I done kind of already told you that I didn't give you enough information because it says refer to the information for Hickory Company above. Well, there is no information for Hickory Company. It's deciding whether to keep or drop the parquet product line. Okay, it has a contribution margin of $50,000. All variable costs are relevant. And then it says what the relevant fixed costs are. Okay, so remember we were talking about keep or drop. So what we do here is we're gonna look at the income. It would have 300,000 would be our revenues. Our variable cost would be 250,000 to get us 50,000 contribution margin. And then we'd have to take out our direct fixed cost. And our direct fixed costs come from right here. 80% of the machine rent and all of the supervision salaries. That is the number we would put here if we had that information. Judging by this, since we only have a $50,000 contribution margin and those direct fixed costs are probably going to be over $50,000 unless the supervision salaries are awfully low. Okay, so this is probably going to be a segment to drop, and that would be why. Okay, important part to remember here is we're only worried about the direct fixed cost, which are the ones that are relevant. So when it tells you that it's a relevant fixed cost, it is a direct fixed cost to that cost object. Okay, so that's it for handout 1. Okay, broke this out into 2 handouts to keep them shorter. Hopefully this was helpful. Work on handout 2 and watch that video and you'll be all set for the homework.